We're now going to revisit a very interesting panel on food and food production. It was hosted by the Moleskine Foundation. This panel explores how creativity, local engagement, and innovation in food production and our approach to food can be indeed connected to the larger macro-level challenges in transforming our food system. So the panel is led by Claudia Giampetri, Director of Healthy Food, Healthy Planet, who works to create change from the ground up. And the panelists are all creativity pioneers, so this is really exciting. And this session was recorded at the Creativity Revival 2024 in Milan. And this was last month, so please enjoy.
Great. Welcome, everybody. And welcome to you all as well. Clary, Adriana, Marco, and our amazing translator, Julia. Welcome. So, food systems. I need to stand up. Maybe take a moment to think about the last meal you had. No. Maybe think about a typical meal that you would have at home. I don't know, last time you were at home, went to your market, supermarket, grocery store, you bought some food, you went home, you cooked or somebody cooked for you, or you cooked together with somebody else. How much do you know of the journey that that food has taken to get to your plate? What do you know about how it was produced? Who worked in that supply chain? How much do you know about, I don't know, for instance, how much water it took for it to be produced? How many pesticides? How much the workers were paid? How do you know about how healthy it is for you, for the planet? I find myself that often when I ask myself the question, I don't know all the answers. I don't always know. And there is a system at place that makes it very difficult for us to really know and really make good choices. So if I say food system and the need for a transformation of the food system, what comes to mind? What are the few things that comes to your mind? What do you associate with the problems that we attach to food systems? Just open the floor to anyone.
How about like capitalizing food and the branding of food? When we have like this at communities, that we create some farmer markets and we can buy stuff from there, and we know where they came from, or we go to the supermarkets and buy like the brand and all the ways they're happening. So yes, always I'm thinking about community and how like smaller farm markets are working better. This is what comes to my mind. How communities they trying to keep their own food systems with farmer markets and indigenous things of food and etc.
And related to that, I'm always thinking about how many very natural produced food is now wrapped in many plastics that they are not necessary. I mean, for example, I see peeled oranges that they are now wrapped because it's too much work for us now to unpeel it. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sorry, just say how unhealthy the food that we have available is now. When you see the ingredients, how much you cannot recognize anything that you read over there.
And where do we actually have our biggest lever for impact? So is it the packaging? Is it the production of the food? Because I find that politics is just kind of like jumping on specific things that are very obvious, but it might not be the most impactful thing to change.
The gentleman in front mentioned branding, and that's the whole thing, branding, communications, what we're being shown in media, what people in influential positions are telling us, what should an apple look like, how should it be packaged and branded. So there's a lot of that that is shaping consumer perceptions.
Sorry, one thing that comes to mind is seasons. I'm very conscious of which season I'm eating a food in. And if it's not in season, I'm wondering how it got to me.
Indeed. So the food that is made available and affordable to us is a disaster for us and the planet, which is per se a very disruptive concept. Because eating healthy, just sustainable, justly priced food is not for everyone, which is incredibly unfair and unjust. It's a justice, it's a rights issue. You said something, a bunch of you said, made me think about one of the issues is the relationship with food and the fact that we have transformed food in a commodity. It's a product. And the experience that our colleagues here are going to share are experiences that actually bring us on a different journey, in a different direction, where we change our relationship to food, and food stops being a commodity, a product, but it's a shared responsibility. And if it's shared responsibility, then it's about the people, rekindling the connection between us and rekindling a connection through food with the planet. Now, let's go on the journey together. You are all working in very different contexts, from Greece to Spain to Italy, very specific contexts within the countries. And I'd like first to set the stage on what are the challenges that you face? What is the context that you're working in before going into the superpowers that you use to sort of ask questions that get the creative juice going in your own work. And let me start with you, Marco. What is the context that you're working in? You have the mic there.
Okay, thank you. I'm Marco. I'm the president of social cooperatives that work on the south of Italy, in Puglia, in a small town near Brindisi. And I'm not so comfortable with the English, so I will read my intervention. So our main project is called the X-Farm. X-Farm project starts from the consideration that the rural areas could return to have a centrality in the development of territories. Imagine to have a land which represents many bad things. We start from macro lands, and we have climate change, desertification, and less soil fertility of the lands, the impact of the industrial agriculture on the ecosystem, like less biodiversity. Like regional lands, like in Puglia we have a huge problem with olive trees. If you know, there is a bacteria that is called Xylella. That is destroying the entire landscape of olive monoculture, because we have a monoculture in the south of the region of the Puglia. At this moment, we have about 20 million of trees dead for this problem, and many of these trees had more than 100 years. So you can say how big is this problem. So in Puglia, we many times talk about exploitation of the workers in the agricultural sector. And mafia and organized criminality uses farms many times like a money laundry. And there is a big problem with the lack of a generational exchange. So our vision is to transform all these bad things in a manifesto of good practice in ecological, economic, and social and cultural way, using the farm like a big school for the community in which we are, and the territory, in experimenting new models of farming, but with a strong connection with traditions and memories of the farmers of our territory. So in 2017, we start to manage 50 hectares of a confiscated land owned by the municipality of our municipality in San Vito e Normanni, without any competencies in agricultural sector, but with a strong vision that want to create a learning process for the community, to start thinking about a new protagonism of the rural area. At the same time, the great challenge was to make this process sustainable economically, demonstrating to the local that farming is possible in other ways. So before this work, we managed a cultural center in the same municipality, transforming an old winery in a social innovation center for the growing of the ideas of the local younger. So we use the same tools to start the managing the process of the farm. And the first tool is opening. So we don't have a strong idea in how to manage the agricultural process, but we try to create an open process where people could be protagonists of his own ideas. This farm vision is constantly changing, influenced by the people that decide to be part of this process. The second tool is multifunctionality. If we want that a social enterprise have to be sustainable economically, we have to mix activities, targets, and economic sources to be resilient and not depending by only one kind of revenues. And so the third is mixing innovation and tradition. So we don't have to be, we don't want to be an alien for the local community. We want to talk with old people and explain them that they had a very important knowledge that they didn't use anymore after the Green Revolution. So today we are 12 people in our cooperatives that works on the regeneration of the lands. We organize events and festivals to attract people and share vision, producing many products. So we do a lot of things to transform these bad things in a manifesto of good practice.
Thank you, Marco. Adriana, tell us a little bit more about your context. And are there any connection or bridges to the challenges that Marco just mentioned?
Well, I'm Adriana, I'm part of Grigri. It's a cultural association based in the south of Madrid, in Vallecas. It's quite a popular area. So I think the context is very different. So we are facing, different issues. But first of all, I would like to invite you to think or to visualize the place where you are coming from, your neighborhood, your village. Where are the places in which you can meet with the other, where you can meet with someone that is different from you, where we can relate, you can imagine together, you can decide even together. And if you are coming from a big city like us, like in Madrid, you will probably be suffering from the same. That is, we are lacking this kind of meeting spaces more and more. So that's one of the reasons that push us to work, no? And so we usually work with communities to strengthen their bonds. We usually support them with methodologies, and we are always trying to create this kind of spaces, open spaces. So for us, food is like a great tool to bring people together, because it allow us to build like a open space, because we are all related with food. We all have memories related with food, with dishes, with seats, with plates, and all these memories are speaking about the things we care our families, our territories. So for us, it's something that allows us open and space and build like a horizontal environment, and that is the beginning of every communitarian process that we develop, no? And I just wanted to say it one more time, because we have been saying during these days, like about Palestine, about Gaza, no? That they are being dispossessed of the land, of the use of the land, of the use of the seeds, of the use of the water. But they will not be able to remove their right to celebrate and to be together and to share their stories, their memories related with food, no? And with not only food, but culture in general. So yeah, that's something that it will be probably help to make them free. And I could speak about some projects that in which we use food as a tool, but maybe we have time, no? After this.
Yes, we have time.
Yeah.
Clary, maybe to you. So, but there is something that I see as a connection between you, Adriana, your experience, and Marcos, because you, Marco, mentioned innovation and tradition. Yes. And in tradition, there is a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and often memories of how we used to produce. And you guys also at X Farm also work with seeds. So there is a lot of ancient and more modern memory that come together.
See, something that maybe I don't need the microphone, but something that I forgot is that the use of the food and the celebration is not something new. We are not inventing anything, no? It's that something we have always, our culture, our communities have always done in order to bring people together. So it's just about this mix of tradition and contemporaneity, no? How to rebuild these kind of traditions in this actual context, no?
Exactly. Yes.
Clary, continue.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Clary. I'm from Greece, and I'm the co-founder of the organization Qualia. And I think that our work lies somewhere in between of the two of you. And our work is dedicated to cultural heritage and history, and we do have a special focus on the intangible cultural heritage of gastronomy. So we work a lot with culinary heritage, with community, gastronomic history, and everything that we do in Qualia, it is seen through the prism of experience. So we either research and document the lived experience, or we try to curate and produce new cultural experiences. So food and experience, and we found ourselves at some point asking, what about people's experiences? What about people that have felt hunger due to war conflicts? What about farmers who struggle financially? What about people who work in agriculture and they are underpaid? What about small farms that they are understaffed and they cannot survive in the contemporary food world? And what about people of older age that have used extensively food as medicine, and they were the alchemists of their times? What about all these stories? And what about all of us, the audience, and the food consumers at the same time, that we need this wealth of knowledge and experience? So we started creating an archive, a food archive. We started conducting oral history interviews with literally everyone who had to share a story, with seniors who have huge knowledge about food, traditional methods of growing food, traditional recipes, people of local communities, Roma communities, and farmers who actually are the basis, are the structure of every product that we actually consume. And they are the basis also of the touristic industry, because gastronomic tourism is a huge industry. So we started making all these interviews, and one part of our job was to catalog them and archive them, and then we started using them creatively. So using this material, using these stories as the basis of our work, we do exhibitions, we do theatrical performances, we do culinary experiences for people. It's like tasting events. And we do a very funny and interesting project, which is called Crime and Nourishment, in which the participants, they have to solve a mystery, and the only hints that they have available are traditional food products, agri-food products, traditional foods, and local communities. So good luck to them. They come to Greece and they have only food and locals to solve a mystery. So it is a creative use that actually, as Marco mentioned before, makes people the protagonists, people who actually produce, people, and because food has this very strong practicality. I mean, food, you produce it, practical. You consume it, practical. It shouldn't be that practical. You research it, like as a nutritionist, as a biochemist, as a food technology professional or what. So usually creativity, and as Adriana said before, I mean, it's not, we are not inventing the wheel, but we are trying to reimagine something. And it is creativity and a creative stance towards food that rearranges stuff and gives a new arrangement, gives a new light. And we can see food as heritage, food as history, food as reality. I mean, we can see all these different aspects. So I think that it is how people are determined to be honest about food systems. As you asked everybody, all of us before, like how many things do we actually know? And as long as we are honest, I think it is the creative light shed on food systems that can really make a change. Thanks.
Lovely. And maybe, Adriana, back to you. What's the superpower that you use to actually connect with people?
I think listening from the beginning, but also try always to run away from this idea of the artist or the cultural agent as someone that is like a magician and has superpowers. Like be part of something, something from like an equal perspective, no? And that's something. I study art, so I have been always really tired of this idea of the artist that is kind of a magician. No, so I think for us is that it's just to listen, to actively, and to be aware of what is already in the territory, what is already in the community, and really be aware of that in order to include it in our process. So it's not about, as Marco was saying before, become an alien and just arrive into a place and try to sell your ideas. No, it's about have an active listening and try to, even in this process of listening, your project and your ideas will change. You will totally change. But that's the magic of it. That's the superpower of it, no? Being able to change and be organic with this process.
Marco, would you be able to tell the story of the work that you're doing from the perspective of one of the workers in the supply chains, one of the migrant workers that you have worked with? What kind of story would they tell when they look at the work that you guys do at X Farm?
Yeah. So I think that the great part of our work is try to work with culture, I mean, I don't know if change or rebuild a culture that we have lost of the past, that is about the producing process. So we say that we know that the Green Revolution was a hope for farmers. Someone has convinced farmers that they can control nature With industrial agriculture, all is designed, non-considering your starting point. You can cultivate the same grain seed all over the world if you follow the recipe of the industry. You have to till the ground, you put some chemicals, fertilizer in the soil, make treatments with a calendar, with pesticide, not influencing maybe by the weather conditions. And you can harvest a big amount of products. But the truth is that to make this process and to have, 100 of outputs, you have to spend 90 in inputs. And you are not sure, particularly in this time of climate change, that some problems could compromise your production. So there is another problem that is that there are many hidden costs about your farmings. So many times these costs are environmental costs or social costs. So in the past 60 years, we trust this revolution and we begin to follow the industry rules. At the beginning of this process, there are seeds. So industry said that they are working in seeds that are resistant in dryness or to some illness or are more productive than traditional seeds. So the industry works on hybrid seed, that are seed that doesn't produce the same seed at the end of the productive process. So I mean that at the end of the process, you can't reproduce the same plant by that seeds that you recover by your plant. So another important thing is that now in Europe, you can cultivate and sell only variety that are in a register, in a European Union register. So if you find a local variety that is not in the register, you can't have a production traceability. So it's almost impossible or very difficult to enhance your local product. In this way, farmers are losing all of the power that they have built in the past. Seeds and farmers were every time in a co-evolution process. So, in which selection of seeds was depending on the territories where they are cultivated, of the culture of the community, of the environmental conditions, so on. So seeds preserve all the story of our evolution in this world. Lost in biodiversity, in this case I'm talking about agrobiodiversity, so of vegetables, means losing stories of people, losing possibilities for responding to climate change challenge, for example. So in X-Farm, we use agrobiodiversity as a tool to rebuild a lost knowledge of the community. We plant non-registered vegetables, like, I don't know, have you ever seen a green or red eggplant? You ever seen? We have in our land. So we have black tomato. Yes, black tomato is more, yes. But we have black sweet pepper. So we have a lot of different kinds of food because we want to share the possibility that it's possible to produce different kinds of food, but to demonstrate to community that diversity is the only way to have a sustainable process of producing food. We are now working in collaboration with a research project in which we are trying to understand how to rebuild these rights of a free circulation of seeds. But at the end of the story, the truth is that if you are able to reproduce your own seed from your cultivation, you have a big power. You have stories in your hand that could be exchanged with other stories of other farmers. You are not dependent from the seed producer, from the seed industry, and you could produce the right food for the right condition in which you are. So for us, this is a very, very important tool to engage this dialogue.
So seeds, crime and nourishment. I mean, I love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And also, from today Adam was speaking of local experiences, so the fact that many pioneers work at a very local level but are connected to each other globally and also address challenges that are bigger than the specific places where you work. Can you try to make the link between the work that you do and the ripple effects that it has on the larger ecosystem?
What we do is we work with people, and we try. When we started back in 2019, we try to convince them to talk to us. And the first thing that we encountered, it was their trepidation. They were all so hesitant on talking to us. They were like, "Come on, it's just food." And we were like, no, it's not just food. It is food, and the importance and the significance behind food is this and that. And at the beginning, people were very, very unwilling to share the real stories, because there is a story that the official history has documented, and usually this is the story that is very widely spread. And there are many different stories that they form the layers, the depth of history. And it is exactly like that in food history and heritage as well. And then we managed to document like 10 interviews from farmers, agricultural producers, 3 ladies that were really good cooks. And we got these interviews, and we transformed them we edited them, and we did like small videos, and we made an exhibition in a museum. And as a side activity, as a cultural activity, we also did this game. And people from the same village, they saw that the stories entered the museum, entered the institution. And that was something like the justification that their stories, they have a reason to exist. The museum was a key. So we need to think the institution and all the institutionalized processes that exist around food systems. And then literally the whole village came, and they were like, I have a story. I need to share. Sit down. I have to tell you my story. Come. So yeah, and it was hilarious that so many people, and we're talking about like 500 people saying like, I've got a story, and you have to document it. It's a food story that deserves to be heard. And then we translate all this material. So because language can be a barrier in our work, and I think that what it was, the first line, the first timeline, we started from it is just food, and we ended up documenting stories from people that opened up. People felt safe, and they felt that their experience is worth the documentation and the promotion. And people started expressing their opinion based on their experience. They said that back in the 70s, it was a huge mistake. We live in the region of Thessaly, and there was a lake there that the government back then decided to dry up. And people were saying on the next big flood, the region will be destroyed. And that happened in 2023 with Lake Karla. So that has a global, I wouldn't say global at the moment, but that has an effect that leaves the small region of Thessaly, a small Greek region in the north of Greece. It leaves Greece because the creative approach that we employ makes these stories reach an audience, a pan-European or maybe even international audience, because we create a cultural project, a cultural product based on these stories. And I hope that this bridge is going to grow bigger and bigger, and it's going to reach many other points. So people's stories will be heard like everywhere. And if someone participates in a culinary event that Qualia, our organization, organizes, this person will learn about Lake Karla, about the environmental threats that are currently killing Greece and like the whole world, of course. So we need to open our ears and listen to people's stories, because they do have their very, very unique knowledge. Did I answer the question, or I was just very passionate?
You were very
about-
passionate, and you did
I answered
address.
your question as well?
Well, there is no such thing as an answer, but definitely you gave us very interesting perspectives. and maybe I open it up to you too as well. So I was discussing with Adama the other day about, you know, this work and pioneers and creativity. How can we sustain the narrative of it's not just cute, it's relevant. And I'm going to play the devil's advocate again and ask, okay, for those who actually see this work as it's lovely, but it's, you know, it's just local, it just happens in Madrid, it just happens in Puglia. What do you answer? How do you actually make a case for this to be absolutely relevant? I'm giving you a tough one. Huh?
I will just say that I'm really happy that it's happening in Madrid and a really tiny neighborhood, because I think it's the place where you can work, no? The place where you are based, the place where you have connections. So for us, as in tiny, is a power. So, and this will transcend, because now we are here, we are sharing all of the little experience that we are developing in its context. But I think culture and art allows us to touch really difficult and sensible topics because of that, because, it's just cute things, the people are just playing, but in fact it's so powerful, but because it allows us to relax, it allows us to play, it touches other things that maybe when you are trying to write a law or you will not be so willing to play, so willing to really meet the other and listen to the other. So I think it's a great tool that we are using, and we believe it's working. And I was just listening about the stories, about the memories, about and it for us is also like a really big tool to work on the little memories that we share. And in some projects, like for example, Haciendo Plaza or Cocinar Madrid, in Haciendo Plaza we work with a group of neighbors that were living in Valdezarza, that is a neighborhood in Madrid, and they wanted to rebuild the meaning of a square that was in their neighborhood. And we built with them 2 kitchens, and we were cooking and eating and celebrating together in this space. And during this process, we were gathering the memories of the people related with the dishes, related with the experience that they have in that neighborhood. And after this process, the meaning of the square changed completely, and now they are making more use of it, and they are because it gained a lot of value, because we build it together, we rebuild it together. And also another project, Cocinar Madrid, was really linked to markets. In Madrid, local markets are being transformed into, I don't know, like really places where you go to nice restaurants. That is okay. But on the other hand, these local producers are losing their spaces in the city, to sell their products. So Cocinar Madrid was a project in which each person brought like an ingredient, we bought it in the market and we cook it in the market, and was a space in which we could change the stories of the people who are producing the elements. So it was, by playing, by enjoying together, something really magical. As I was saying before, artists are not magicians. Maybe we are, but it doesn't make sense, no? So.
Okay. So we are a strange organization in this context about creativity. So So we use creativity in order to approach the local community. So it is very difficult to engage local people in a sector that is the one from all historically our grandparents has run away after the Second World War. My grandparents say to my parents not to work in agricultural sector. So this is a very common stories for us. So mainly younger people don't want to have nothing to do with agricultural or rural area. We are all impressed by the magic of the city, of the continuous input that the technology offer to us, while rural areas are abandoned. So we try to create processes that can help to invert this feeling. I can talk about, I don't know, X-Farmland Art is a co-creation process with the younger of the municipality that allow us to make a land art park in a non-productive area of our farm. Or I can talk about Manifesto Super Camp, that is a festival in which we invite people to stay with us for a week, camping, working, making learning session and concert, projection, book presentation, so on. I can talk of many events and educational process that allow to engage local community to our teams, but I think that this is that is all tools that comes from a larger vision of creativity. For us, creativity is to inhabit the margin and trying to shift it a little bit. It's trying to create a different imaginary in which our work and our life are the same thing. It's about building an organization that puts at the center the intentionality and the dreams of its members. So for example, I want to talk about a training process called Radical School. It is a process for 20 younger people from all over the Puglia under 30 age of the age. One part of the school was about competencies in the agricultural sector, so a normal school, so technical, administrative, legal issues. The other part that was managed by us was about their own dreams, their dreams. We tried to create a training process in which their ideas could see the light, demonstrating that the most difficult thing is not to find money or to build competencies, but the most difficult thing in this historical moment is to image a change about the system in which we live and to apply that change we talked about this morning. Yeah. So in that school we design, following the desire of some of the members, our first prototype of an agroforestry system, like an alternative to the monoculture of the olive groves. This project won a prize from the University of Lecce and was attentioned by University of Foggia like a system that could be a real alternative to rethinking the landscape destroyed by Xylella bacteria that I was talking before. But the most important thing is that some months later, we planted that system together with the students. So today, agroforestry is one or our main topic of development in which we are investing too much. So this story is to talk about our vision is to demonstrate to community that we have to imagine a change, but it is very, very important to put the change into practice.
Amazing. Thank you, Marco. So, as this is supposed to be a dialogue, I would like to open the floor for any reflections, anything that resonated particularly strongly with you, any questions that you might have to any of them, and just really have it as a conversation.
I'm Antonia Di Francesco. My association is my organization has a lot of activity in a zone of the city that is outside the city. And there we made a food forest and some social little land for vegetable. So the people that before has not occasion to meet them, now there is a place, this way, this little land in the city, where they meet. So the organization is, for example, like Marco said, maybe once in the week to have a social lunch or a social dinner. So all the people, all the community stay closed and finally meet their reality. In Tuscany, we organize something with organic farm to connect all the organic farm for have an organization. So they exchange the seeds. For example, they use only ancient seed. And they have a strange way to culture because use about 20 different ancient seed that put in the field. And is the field that decide who will grow and who will die. So there is not a problem for water or for other problem that country or the farm generally they have. And they had an app where the people may buy the product directly to the farm. 0 kilometer or some kilometer more because in the city near this place this in Grosseto, just 1 hour and a half from Rome. So a lot of people from Rome has this organization like reference for have really food, healthy food.
Thank you.
Okay, and with the University of Salento, we have a lot of projects for the ancient seed or for the phytotherapeutic wild plants. So I think that we have to speak
seems you have
together.
a lot to, yes, a lot to discuss over
Thank
coffee
you.
or lunch. Yeah. Here.
I have the question in how are these projects sustainable financially? And just to give a little bit of context of the why of my question is, I do believe that this needs to scale, and to scale is not necessarily like your project needs to be huge. It's to scale, there needs to be hundreds and thousands of these projects around the world. And I come from Guatemala, and I'm just thinking, how could this work in Central America? Like, how is it sustainable? Because for it to be sustainable, you need to dedicate time, right? And time, well, when you need to eat, like the time is, I don't like the expression time is money, but when you don't have the money, your time, you need to use it to have money to eat. So yes, the question comes from a very, not necessarily like how is this financially sustainable, but like, how really? Because I think that is an important element to make it scale in other places outside of Europe as well.
Sustainability. Do you have a particular model of sustainability that is ingrained in your projects?
Now? Yes. The most important question. And I think it's the most important because in the cultural and creative industries, there is this perception that we work for free or we work for like, I'll give you some food. Or, it's like, come on. And so, yeah, I'm very happy that you raise this question. It took us ages at Qualia, and we are still in the same process, to be honest, and to find something that looks like a model. I mean, I cannot say with confidence that it is a model, but we have different channels. So we do a hunt for national, European, or any other kind of funding. The other channel is that we do make products and services, and I think this is very important for creatives, to have a product, sell it or not, have a service, sell it or not, make a business plan and find how much it really costs, and then see the percentage that you need to add on top. So you will be financially for at least the next 5 years. No, 5, like yeah, let's say 3. We do have a fee for theatrical performances, for culinary experiences, for crime and nourishment. There is a participant fee, but we are very, very analytical on our website and on everything that what we charge is not like a touristic experience in Greece, that it's going to cost 500 euros per person, but you will eat, I don't know, like the best moussaka. We are very, I mean, there is the sustainability of the research behind is also very important. We have a very clear target, make people conscious about what is really going on in food, in culture, and everything. Funding, fundraising, fees, participants' fees, it can be a ticket. We do have box of free participation in many of our activities because we need to be conscious, we need to be conscious first that it's not everyone capable of like paying 15 euros. I mean, days are very, very hard. And then we do organize some activities like food bazaars and where people, because with agricultural production in Thessaly at least, what happens very often, unfortunately, is that producers, they don't sell and they end up throwing away fruits and vegetables. We are in constant contact with them. So when the fruits are about to become old, they give them to us and we organize like food bazaars. So I would say these 3, funding, tickets, participation fees, and bazaars and other activities with free giving. Thanks.
Okay, so we are a cooperative, so we are a farm like many others, but we are a special farm, so we try to mix revenues. Our budget, annual budget, we have about 300 or 400,000 budget per year, and this is divided in 2 great different parts. The first one is the part that comes from selling product and services. We are a farm, so we produce olive oil, wine, eggs, vegetables. So you have to buy our wine, our olive oil. You are here for that, yes, you know. And so we sell products, but we sell services too. Many times we make a consultancy for other farms that want to begin a process in that way. Because in this year, we began with no competencies in agriculture, but in this year, in these 7 years, a little of competences we enhance. So this is the first part. The second part is by fundraising. and is about 40% or 50%. It depends by the year. But for us, fundraising is not to sustain the organizational cost, but fundraising is funding for investment. So fundraising is for us to build a prototype of activity that could be productive activities or cultural activities or something like that, and understand if that activities could be sustainable at the end of the funding project. So this is our model.
Thank you. Here, question. Adriana, yes.
For us, I think we are something that we really like to develop is being networking, but not. So for example, in Spain, we are part of two networks. That is El Cubo Verde, the red network of the Green Cube, that is in the cultural spaces in the rural areas, and also REAC, that is la red de espacios de cultura comunitaria, community and culture, no, in Spain. And that is a really useful tool to share opportunities, share resources. So that's one idea. I think in Latin America this will work or is working really well. And also our biggest projects haven't been funded by the cultural ministry, but from the social ministry, because in Spain the cultural budget is so low that we have to be funded by the social ministry. And yes, selling products is something that we are trying more and more to do in order to not be so dependable of the funding, because it's just running for the carrot always, no? So yes.
Hello, I'm Mike with Global Commons Alliance, and we work on a lot of these big systems of the planet and human systems and the intersections. And first of all, to say very grateful for this session and for the work that you're all doing. I think if you Google food and creativity, you'd probably see some beautiful plates. It's a really nice restaurant. So this is a wonderfully deep conversation and just great hearing about this work. And just grateful for the framing of this all. Hearing you all talk, when I think now about food systems, I think of the intersection, when I think about food, I think of the intersection of culture and economics, which I think we've talked about a lot. And then it's a little bit of a leap maybe to say food systems can be thought of as living at the intersection of cultural systems and economic systems. And if that's the case, I'm just curious for those who say food systems and economic systems need to be radically transformed in the next 5 years to 10 years to avoid the worst. I'm just wondering what advice each of you might have for people trying to think through that level of what systems transformation could be for economics, food systems. Thanks.
Who wants to take this up?
Because I was visualizing what you said, and I wrote down like food systems and then culture and economics. Can you repeat the question? I'm really sorry about that.
Okay, I'm glad you like the model.
Yes, I can share my visual with you later.
No, I'm just wondering if you have advice for people and organizations working at the level of systems transformation for food and economics and kind of the big stuff. Based on what you've learned through your work and your experiences, what advice do you have for people trying to work at that level of sort of the whole?
From our side, that we do mostly creative things, I would say what we have found out is that the approach needs to be interdisciplinary. It cannot be singular. When you design your business model, your activities, your strategic plan, when you have to narrow down your vision a little bit, the approach needs to be interdisciplinary. You cannot take a step without taking under serious consideration finance, and not only the business finance, global finance, what is going on with food, what is going to happen if sustainability wins, and then we have a new problem, which is going to be like sustainable food systems. So identify the fields and the disciplines that will inform the strategic plan that is going to serve your vision. That would be my advice. And this is the process that we are currently in. So we read a lot and we research a lot what is going on the scientific stuff of food, on how it impacts environments, how much research has been done before on the field, on culture, on culinary heritage, and how all these things will be wrapped up and form a new way. Yeah, I don't know if I covered your question, but that's how we approach it.
Yes. Just to chime with what you're saying, that interdisciplinarity is absolutely key. So going beyond silos approaches, single solution, I have the holy grail, I'm chasing it. And also what you, Marco, said before, the struggle that I think we all face in simply having a vision. Sometimes it's, we have loads of ideas, but really having a vision and then having a joint vision, that's a big challenge because we all come with our own sets of interests and our interests don't align. A medium-sized farmer, a big-sized farmer, a policymaker, grassroots organizations, our interests more often than not don't align. So how do we actually get to a place where we can create joint visions? That's a beautiful but hard challenge. You wanted to continue?
Yes, I just wanted to add that, as Marco was saying before, no, the fact of looking back, because the wheel, as we said before, is already invented, no. So, and all of the work that our ancestors have been doing in the territory, it's amazing, no. And there are a lot of keys in order to recover for the future. So the use of the water, the use of the land, the use of the soil. We have forgotten all, but it's about how to recover it and put it in motion in a different way, no? Because we are in a different times.
Yes, please.
And now, I think that society is in a good level. We do have the knowledge. We have like data, like serious data. So we need to employ an interdisciplinary approach, use what we know, because we do know a lot of things now, and make a sustainable design. And so we need to take from and borrow tools from many different industries and fields, because we now know that if we start without doing that, it's going to stop. If Qualia starts and says like, okay, creativity and food will do this and that, and has no idea about finance, about economics, about the science behind food, it's going to be like 3 or 4 steps. It's going to stop. And we have seen that happening. I mean, we can design sustainably. So yeah, I think that the more we borrow from, the more sustainable the initiatives will be.
I was also thinking while I was listening to you that we have all become so impatient because we all people want to eat 3 times a day, but many of us don't understand all of the time and the caring that you need to give a seed to grow. And the more that we get involved with that experience, like to grow in the seed and to be patient, maybe we are going to start also eating slower, and eating, we all understand that food is health, but also we want things so quickly now. And it's true what you were saying before, that how can it even possible that we can just take our phones and ask for food to be delivered, and that's cheaper than to take all the process, even to go to the farmer's market and to buy there. I mean, we want things so fast. But also, are you having those experiences on inviting people to maybe grow something together and then harvest and then preparing or cooking together? Have you done that, or What are your experiences on that?
I am thinking about a project that we developed in Botequín para mi ciudad, first aid for my city. And that project we developed in 3 neighborhoods in 3 different cities. And the 3 of them, it was about creating a space in which neighbors could develop remedies to cure their living spaces. And in the 3 cities, they decided to start a communal garden. So I think that's something that is a need of all, no? To start recovering this act of growing things. And listening to you, just remember that one session of Catherine the other day, no? That when you have the possibility of learning something from the physical experience, it changes completely. It's not that you read, okay, seeds take this time to grow because so that we need to care about seeds. No, you are really experimenting that in your physical way of learning, no? And that's something that is much more powerful to really understand. What you said, no? The time that a seed needs to grow, the water that needs, the sun that. So it's a really amazing system that when we experiment it, it's completely different.
Yeah, and for us, when we begin to manage the farm, and before we manage a cultural center, the first thing that we understand, and the time of nature is different from the time of human. So this is a very strong true, but we don't know these things. We have to exercise. So in this year, we try to involve people many times younger, babies. So people that come from nursery, to come to us and to look at the time of the nature. For us, I think, I don't know if it's an Italian way or is a South Italian way, but eating works very good. When you offer to eat to people, so if we want to have a success in an event, we have to offer food, okay? So we have to eat together. So we organize, for example, an event that we call Cuminedda. That is a dialect term that explain the way to eat together. And people prepare food in their house, and take food in the farm. We prepare a long table under the olive groves, and then people come there and share food with other people. So it's very, very interesting event, and so easy to organize for us because we don't have to cook, but we eat. The other have to have cooked, but yes, it's for saying that yes, food in our culture is very, very strong, like tools to staying people together. So yeah.
Thank you. We just take these 2 together and then we start wrapping up.
I just really want to say that I really admire the panel members. I coach people to notice systems, and what I notice is that you all have like a very analytical and strategic sense of the systems that you exist in, as well as being really very intuitive about the invisible systems around you in how you work with them, how you sense them, that helps you to open up communities and stories. We also live in, as we know, like really large, powerful food systems, commercial systems that just seem to keep growing and getting more powerful. Can you offer us like some of your views, and what can we be hopeful for? What can we do?
Also take this, I think you had a question, yeah. You had no question?
Oh, sure. No, it was for Claire. You mentioned the interviews you did, and I was just curious if there's any, and so many people came to you with more food stories. If you had a story that stayed with you as an example that you could share. I'm just really curious to know.
Super. Anybody wants to address, what's your name? Catherine's question?
I'm just thinking about, let's cultivate it. Let's try to find a piece of land and try to recover this act of growing. Like for us, for me personally, it worked, and in our projects, it's really valuable, no? This process of starting, experimenting yourself. We were talking about this before, no? So I think for me or for us, it's kind of a recipe.
Yeah, I think that another thing that we have to do is to meet farmers, to go to the farm and see what is the work that is before our product in our table. And as I said before, when we meet farmers, we have to sustain them. So you have to buy our wine. So this is, I'm joking.
Claire, would you like to close by sharing a story?
Sure. We have like many stories, and they are of huge emotional importance. And it's very interesting to observe how this emotional importance has a lot of things to say about actual history. I mean, we did an interview with a senior, and back then he was like in his 89, and he was sharing with us how during the Greek Civil War, his family house was burned down, and he was so hungry that he ate a quince that has been baked from the flames that were burning the house. And then that opened new routes. So we got really important material about the Greek Civil War. And if you see it like as a visual, it all started, it's just food. And then it was just a quince. And then we got really important. And then people, they started bringing us archival material as well. They started bringing pictures. And so we could see the trees, how the trees were back then, and how the houses were. So, I mean, it is a process that enriches historical research. And then we had that very important testimonies about the lake that I mentioned before. And it is very interesting how things fall together. I mean, they look like falling apart, but then they form a perfect puzzle. And because these people were saying that back in the 70s, the government dried up the lake because we had to increase the agricultural production. So a huge part of the lake became fields. And in September 2023, the flood, the storm Daniel came, and the whole region was flooded. And there were two people who lost everything. They are milk producers, and their farm was flooded, and they only managed to save 200 animals. They put the animals on boats, and they lost everything else. And they reached out to us saying, like, we don't know what to do. Nobody records our drama right now. Can you come? And that was very strong, and we went there, and it was a great coincidence because we then used the Moleskine fund to run this project, and then the media doesn't come. The government was awfully unprepared. We lost everything. Everything is covered in water. And we went there, we did a short film, and then we organized now a culinary experience which is dedicated to feta cheese, which is like a PDO product. And, but the real history behind feta, it's not like OPA. It is people who produce milk and they lost everything overnight. So that's a very, and this is one of our most recent stories. And I will be very happy to share more in lunch, in order not to keep all of you here, but thanks.
Applause to our pioneers. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Clary. And thank you also for being prepared to help us. Thank you all for doing it in English, for staying with us until now. Enjoy your food.